So yeah, I'm Kelly Camacho. I work for Push Buffalo, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm from the east side of Buffalo, which is a predominantly black neighborhood. We were one of the only Puerto Rican families on our block and in our whole neighborhood. Growing up on the east side, we were a very poor family. The side is known for being pretty low income. So for me, I really grew up seeing the effects that money has on different communities. And so as I kind of got older and I attended City Honors, I had a lot of racial tensions that were going on when I was a part of that institution. One of the things that I got really passionate about while I was there was working in the community garden, because really working outside was something I never got a chance to do. I think a lot of people take for granted even small family vacations they can take and go to places like the Grand Canyon, which if you're poor, you're not going on a vacation. A lot of my work has really focused on how race is intersectional with a lot of environmental issues. That's led me to Push Buffalo, where I get to do that work professionally. I get to fight for not only people who look like me, people who grew up like me, but people in lots of different communities and also the environment. And so that's why I'm here today. So the environmental movement historically was always very male and white dominated, and it was really about like conserving land and making sure that it was something that people could enjoy during their off time. Doing the work that I do now, it's actually pretty easy to keep it relevant because the work is really intersectional, and whenever we talk to people, we just really find where they are within this web of issues and then say, okay, so this is how it's affecting you, what are we going to do about it? I really put a lot of time and things into because it does personally affect me, and I want to make sure that other people are not being affected in the same way that I was affected. And I don't think you should be able to shoot people of color out in the street, but I also don't think that people should be able to be poisoned in their homes over several years. So Push Buffalo is on Buffalo's west side, but we are an organization that's had a lot of like nationwide recognition. A lot of the work that we're doing here in Buffalo can be done in other places, and so we're just one of the first places that we're really seeing all of this different work being done within one organization. We have our Push Buffalo Street team, which consists of a lot of young, rising organizers, and what they do is they go out and they pass out information to people just around Buffalo. They go old school, knocking on doors, leaving information for people. One of the things we run into issues with is that Buffalo is obviously very diverse in languages, especially on the west side. Translators become a huge help, and then passing out information in different languages has become a huge help. It's one of my favorite parts of Push Buffalo because we get to talk to so many people and hear so many different people's stories. When you change someone's mind about a certain issue, or when you get to talk to someone about how intersectional an issue is, that doesn't just stay with them. Like, that's something that very easily gets passed on. And so one of the incredible things about Push Buffalo is that we start really small scale by just impacting one person's life or one person's day, and then that has a ripple effect, and slowly but surely we've definitely been gaining a lot of attention and a lot of power and growth, and it's something that I'd really love to see that work being done in other places, and a lot of other people are listening and paying attention. And I get to work with organizations like Ilias doing the Western New York Youth Climate Council work. And so, yeah, it's grown from something small to something that's nationwide. During COVID, I felt like it was really hard to connect with people again, and that's one of the reasons that I love this work, is that I love being able to talk to people and hear people's stories and really get that interaction. But with COVID, it's really had us all really isolated, and so I figured, why not utilize the technology that we have to really capitalize on getting access to some people that we might not have had access to before. So I run a monthly networking event at Push Buffalo. We do it on Zoom, so we are socially distancing. We have one speaker come on, and they get to really tell us about their story and their background, and what I personally love is when they really include some of the struggle moments of becoming who they are, because I think it's really easy for us to hear from people in power and be like, oh, they're amazing, they've probably always been amazing, and it's just, no, well, we've all had our own struggles, and I think during a time of COVID, really highlighting the struggle is important because we're all struggling right now. And Climate Connect really gives us a chance to come together. It gives people a chance to come on and, we get to hear from the speaker, but then we get to do these small breakout rooms where people get to talk and just have a one-on-one conversation again and really enjoy each other and laugh with each other and really get to have a semblance of our relationships again, even though we're all doing it from the safety of our own homes. So one of the things that we're obviously pushing for is a climate jobs and justice recovery, which is something that I'm doing through New Yorker News, which is really all about having sustainable jobs, getting us away from non-renewables to renewables, but then also potentially taxing polluters, because, if they're forcing us to deal with the pollutants that they're putting into our environment, they should have to pay for that. So essentially a polluter's tax is something that we're working on. So what I've actually seen that's been really interesting is everybody's planning for two different scenarios. We're all planning for what the the work is going to look like if we're still having Trump in office, who is someone who has a track record of not taking environmental issues seriously. He's led a lot of environmental rollbacks. And then there's another option where if we have someone else who's in office who might be willing to take these issues a little bit more seriously, our work might not be as intense. So it's really just worst case scenario planning versus workable measures that are being taken. And so it's really hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.